welcome guys, welcome to our CSS session, which is the cascading style sheet. So CSS here, we are going to follow the third version, that is the CSS3 version. So let's kickstart with the what is CSS. So CSS, I have already told you that is a cascading style sheet in order to provide the styles for our website, colors, fonts, and different styles that you have in order to contribute to our website. Since like HTML language, this is not a programming language. This is called a style sheet or a styling language, where HTML as well as CSS are presentational languages, and CSS is a style sheet or a styling language, and which is used for the most of the website layout and design. So HTML and CSS together contribute a website, that is a front end of the website. So CSS plays an important part in styling our website. Now, all the CSS, there is a syntax, just like HTML has a syntax like tag syntax, CSS also have a syntax like selector syntax. Okay, in HTML we call them HTML tags, which is denoted inside angular brackets, but in CSS we call them as selector, which is represented inside curly braces, not angular brackets but inside curly braces. So all the selector will have a selector name. Starting with the selector name will be the tags which are represented in the HTML. That can be an anchor tag, A tag, which is a paragraph tag, P tag, for the heading tags like H1 to H6 tags, likewise image tag, IMG tag, likewise all the HTML tags which is being represented in CSS is called a selector. That is a first of all, CSS selector will be starting with the selector name and followed by a curly braces. Curly braces is usually represented as a declaration start, and then comes our property, or the property and the value. Property means what is a feature that we have to given to that particular tag. That means if I want to provide a color for that particular tag, or if I want to give the background color for that particular tag, or if I want to give the font size or the font, which is a font type I want to give, those represents a property. So these properties are all predefined inside the CSS library, and the value will be changing according to our preference. Value can be, for example, here is shown, it's like background color. Color can be from red, yellow, blue, black, gray, brown, whatever colors. There are a lot of colors available inside CSS, so you can provide that particular value. Likewise, in attributes, there is a key value pair. Likewise, here we have a property value pair, and here the property and value will be separated using a property value separator or the property separator, which is a colon. In HTML, the attributes that is a key value are separated using the equal to, but here the property and the value will be separated using a column. And then the end of a particular declaration is using the semicolon. That is not an end but the declaration separator. That is, all the sentences should be entered using a semicolon. Now the declaration start, which is the curly braces. Now there will be a declaration end, which will be a closing curly braces. So this is a basic CSS selector syntax. If I want, I can just show it out. So before showing out, what we have to do is okay, that I will show you. Before then, we have three methods for adding CSS. That is, we can add the styles to our website in three methods. There are three very popular methods, that is inline CSS, internal CSS, and external CSS. Okay, among these three, inline CSS and external CSS are the most widely used for the website. Both are equally important, I must say, because in some cases we will be using inline CSS, but mostly we will be using external CSS. External CSS is very much important, but inline CSS will be used in critical stages. But internal CSS are very likely to be used because we don't use that much. So I'll be showing you the difference between the three methods. I'll be showing the three methods for adding the CSS. First of all, let's start with the inline CSS. Inline CSS means inline and internal CSS are written, the CSS styles will be written inside the HTML tag only. That means a HTML file only. So first, starting with the inline CSS are always written inside a particular tag, just like an attribute. Okay, that means in anchor tags we are having attributes, we have already looked into the attributes. Just like that, inside each and every tag we can provide attributes that I have already mentioned. Likewise, if you are providing the CSS styles inside a particular tag as an attribute, that is called as inline CSS. For example, if I want to give the color of the h1 tag to red, I must use the style represents means it is providing CSS. So whatever CSS, if you want to give any features or any features of CSS, you have to start with the style attribute. So style will be the key that we are providing, and inside the style attribute we are providing the key like it is color. So we are going to provide the heading, that is a h1 heading will be going to be red. So color, I have clicked the tab, so that automatically the IntelliSense will work. So it will be separated, it will be automatically separated using the property value separator, that is a colon. Then the color we have to represent it using like red. Save. Okay, so let's check whether it is being changed or not. See, the h1 heading is already been changed to red. So if any styling that we are giving inside the particular HTML tag as an attribute is normally represented as inline CSS. Okay, that means in line with the HTML tag. Likewise, we can give the, not only in h1, we can give in p tag also. We can give inline CSS. So inline CSS should always start with style. So style will be our attribute key, and inside that we have to give that CSS property value, that is a property will be the color, and the key value will be the for example, I am giving blue. Black has already been the default color, so we have to give another color in order to know the change. Okay, see, the p tag is being changed to the blue color. So this is what you basically called as a inline CSS. Now, next one is a internal CSS. So this is one which we will be using very likely. We don't use this very much. So least recently used as an internal CSS. So for that we will be using internal CSS is also being provided inside the HTML file, but not inside the HTML tag like an attribute. Instead, it will be always internal CSS will be provided inside the head tag. Head tag we have to provide a style like attribute, because always if you want to if you want to make the system understand that this is going to be your CSS, we have to provide the style. So there is a tag called style. Okay, so there is a tag called style, and we will be separating the style tag. We have a start tag and end tag. Inside the style tag, we have to represent what is our selector, that is a CSS selector, along with the CSS declaration start and end, and as well as a property value. So here I want to give like our h2. Okay, let's click on the h2. Let's click on the h2. All the h2 tags, this is a h2, that is a CSS selector, and this is a declaration start and end. Inside the declaration start and end, I have to give, what I have to give is the property value, that is color. I want to make it as violet. Yeah, give, save. So let's see whether there is any change. See, you can see the h2 tag is being changed to violet color that I have already given. So this is internal CSS. So internal CSS and inline CSS both are given inside the HTML file, but in different styles. Like one inline CSS has been given inside the HTML tag, start tag as an attribute, whereas in internal CSS will be given inside the head tag as within the style tag, within the style tag. Now the style tag is a HTML tag, not a CSS tag, but style tag is an HTML tag which is related to CSS tag. Okay, So inside that we are giving the CSS selector name, that is a h2, that is which we are going to target. So h2 is our target, and what is our target want to do is I want to change the color to violet because our default color was black. So this is a inline and the internal CSS. Now moving on to the external CSS. For external CSS, I think everyone, the most commonly used is the external CSS. So I prefer that, but in some critical stages we will be using the inline CSS. Okay. So external CSS, what you have to do is nothing is going to be done inside this HTML tag. Instead, we are going to create a separate file for CSS just like HTML. Here we have two different HTML files, index.html and anchor.html. So those are HTML files because those are ending with the extension .html. So just like HTML files, we want to create a separate file for CSS. So that is called as external CSS, and all the stylings will be written inside that particular file. So for that we can follow a normal very standard format, like we have to create a separate folder for CSS. If you are going to follow a particular standard for our cell phone coding, then it will be much more easier. For every project and or for every different project, we will be following the same standard. So likewise, if you are going to create an image folder and inside that all the images are going to be embedded, that is a good practice. Just like that, it is not mandatory that if we want to create an image folder, but it's for a good practice. Just like that, we can keep a good practice that for all the CSS file to be embedded inside a folder called as style or CSS or whatever. You can give it as any name that you like. So I'm going to create, this is my personal standard. If you don't want to follow, if you have your own standards, you can follow that. I don't mind it, but I'm using a regular pattern so that I can understand and I can follow easily. So I'm going to create a new folder and I'm going to give it as CSS. So name it as CSS. Inside the CSS, I'm going to create a new file which is called as style.css. Now, style.css is a worldwide standard, just like index.html, which is a standard name given for the root HTML file. Because even after somebody is taking up a project and they want to modify it for some official purposes, they want to know which is our root file or which is a root CSS file. Now here we are going to have so much of if our project is going to be a large project, we will be having number of CSS files and number of HTML files. So better we can give a root CSS file a standard name and root in HTML file a standard name. So mine is always a root HTML file will always be index.html and my root CSS file will always be style.css. So this is the style.css, and inside that I'm going to call h3. Let's target the h3. So inside that I'm going to call h3. So what is our CSS selector syntax? Our CSS selector name, that is h3, then with the declaration start and end, that is a curly braces. Inside the declaration start and end, we have to give the property value. So I am targeting on the color. Okay, color will be going to yellow. Okay, I love attractive colors, so I am giving attractive colors. So let's check whether h3 is being changed to yellow. No, right? Why h3 is not being changed to yellow? There comes our another task is, if you are going to use a external CSS, like we have been placed in different file, it has to be linked. These two files, that is a index.html, that is a CSS selector which we are targeting, that is in the HTML file, and the CSS style which is in another file which is the style.css. So if these two files must be linked, then only it will be, all the styles will be applied. For that, all the linking, I have initially told that all the linking will be happening inside the head tag and not in body tag. So it is a proper way to link the head style or the link any tags in the head tag. So I am going to link it using a tag called link. There is a tag called HTML tag called link. So I am clicking on the tab. So automatically the boilerplate will be coming in. So in the link, the first attribute is a relationship, that is a rel. Relation is a it is going to be the style sheet, so it is a style sheet, and href is a hyperlink reference, that is which is going to be the path of the CSS file that we are going to link. So what is our path is, it is inside another folder called CSS, right? So we have to call it by the name, yeah, CSS folder. So IntelliSense is working, so please make use of it by using the tab key, or CSS slash, okay, I make use of the tab key, and then style.css, so I again make use of the tab key. So I don't have to type anything because it is more of easy and we don't make further mistakes. So now let's check whether this yellow is been applying or not. Okay, see, now it's been applying. Why? Because we have linked both the files. We are targeting the file which the index.html is targeting the h3 contents, h3 tag which is in the index.html, and all the styles we are providing it is in the another file called style.css. Okay, so we have linked using the tag called link. Fine. Okay, that's all about it.